At least one Zimbabwean was killed, 17 others injured yesterday after violence broke out during a rally by opposition party, the Citizens Coalition for Change, in Kwekwe. Now, it's understood more than a dozen men suspected of being ZANU-PF militants got out of a pickup truck and initiated violence on the sidelines of that rally. Witnesses saying that the CCC members were attacked with stones and iron bars. The opposition party's national spokesperson, Advocate Fadzayi Mahere, joins us now from Kwekwe this morning. Advocate, what happened?
So yesterday, we were hosting our Midlands by-election campaign launch. It had started, we had done a launch in Kwekwe the day before where there'd been heavy police brutality with tear smoke, baton sticks by the police unleashing violence. They were also unleashing dogs onto our supporters, and that rally actually could not go ahead despite the police having granted clearance for it. We then moved to Sunday when we went to Kwekwe. Again, we had a scheduled rally. President Chamisa was in the middle of his address, and then armed men who we know to be ZANU-PF came out and started beating up our supporters with iron bars, with machetes, with knives, throwing stones at them. It was a complete orgy of violence with lots of blood, and a number of our citizens were injured. The latest report suggests that 22 people are now in hospital, and sadly, one of our supporters lost his life.
And on the sidelines of all of this violence that broke out, Advocate Mahere, police in Zimbabwe not confirming what happened. That doesn't surprise you?
Well, it doesn't surprise us. We're actually deeply disturbed by the police who were present but did absolutely nothing to restrain the violent thugs. And as you will know, this attack comes just 2 days after Mr. Chiwenga, who deputizes Mr. Mnangagwa in the regime, made a very disturbing threat. And his words exactly were, "We're going to crush the Citizens Coalition for Change like lice." So we're not surprised that, this orgy of violence has just followed that action. And we're also not surprised that police, have not done anything to arrest or investigate those who are responsible for this. I mean, the Constitution mandates the police to serve and protect citizens. And yet when we see ZANU-PF carrying out unbridled violence against the CCC, absolutely nothing is done.
So when you and I spoke last week about the transition from the MDC to the Citizens Coalition for Change, you sounded very confident about the CCC and the work that it's now intending to do, not only in these by-elections, but in the next national election as well. It's clearly not going to be easy at all, which I'm sure you were very aware of.
Well, just to be clear, I remain very confident. The fact that the regime is reacting in this way, the fact that it's in panic mode, the fact that, violence is really their last resort demonstrates beyond any doubt that the CCC is on the right path and, is a huge threat to the continued rule of ZANU-PF. And we know that come 2023, of course, it's going to be difficult, and we budgeted for this when the party was announced on the 24th of January. But the citizens are clear. The citizens are ready to, stand up to the intimidation. We saw the record-breaking crowds at Mbizo yesterday. Thousands, tens of thousands of citizens came out despite the fact that just the day before in Kwekwe, the police had, beaten our supporters up, had used tear smoke, had unleashed dogs. But the citizens remain resolute, and we remain resolute because we know that, they're not going to give up power easily. But we stand by the Constitution. We stand by principles of non-violence. We, stand firm on our belief that the best bet for Zimbabwe is a Citizens Coalition for Change that will put the citizens back into decision-making in the country, that will restore ethical leadership in the country, that will start to address the very important issues of poverty. You've got 49% extreme poverty in the country. Teachers are underpaid, doctors are underpaid, nurses are underpaid. All of them have down tools. The country is currently in gridlock, and we need a change to the leadership of the country in order to address those daily struggles that the citizens face. So we remain confident that, we have the only, plan that's going to really mount a successful change against ZANU-PF, and that's why they're unleashing violence on our supporters. They're afraid of the leadership of President Nelson Chamisa and the team which he leads.
So as you continue with this program of action, you say citizens are ready, they're ready to stand up, they're ready for change. Is there anything that the CCC can do in the face of this kind of unbridled violence?
We continue to speak up very strongly about the need for electoral reform. We see that there's a clearly uneven playing field in the political space in Zimbabwe, where state institutions, including the Zimbabwe Republic Police, are used to unleash violence on the CCC, and yet they allow ZANU-PF to conduct their rallies without any disturbance. We continue to call upon, the authorities to reform the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, which is actually moribund and partisan in its conduct. Not only have there been gross irregularities in respect of the voters' roll, but we also see that they have the duty to ensure that there's no violence as between parties. Yet we've seen this escalation. We talked about it last week. Last week, a number of our supporters were beaten by ZANU-PF, were beaten and tortured by the police. A number of our members and our leaders are arrested without, any competent charge against them. And now we see, thugs coming to attack our supporters at our rallies. And yet there's absolute inaction on the part of the Human Rights Commission, the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, the Zimbabwe Republic Police. I think this is the moment at which, eyes should start to focus on Zimbabwe. And in this regard, I call upon, SADC and all international authorities, those who monitor elections, to say that, these are the early warning signs that we're going to have a very difficult election in 2023 if the reform agenda is not prioritized. There is need to mount pressure on this regime to ensure that those electoral reforms are effected, to ensure that we don't have another disputed election in 2023. Zimbabwe is in the logjam that it's in because of the illegitimate regime that came about as a result of the disputed election of 2018, and we simply can't continue on this path. The region is going to feel the shocks of trouble in Zimbabwe. We've already seen the forced migration crisis, and so there's need for us all to collectively act. The citizens in Zimbabwe playing their part, the citizens Coalition for Change playing its part, the region, the African Union, everyone has to step up pressure on the regime of Mr. Mnangagwa. Not a single life should be lost to political violence. How can they kill, beat and maim our supporters just for believing different, for exercising their constitutional rights and for acting in accordance with the law? You've always been incredibly outspoken in the MDC and now in the CCC. How do you maintain your own safety? Well, I've consistently said that if a bullet has my name on it, then that's that. But, courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means that notwithstanding the threats that exist, you choose to speak out anyway. And you choose to, fight for a Zimbabwe that's better. Because if you look at the suffering of the masses, this is the principle that guides the CCC. It simply can't continue. We need people who start to care about the people, who put their priorities first, who put their daily struggles first. That's the only way Zimbabwe can get out of this crisis. And I'm, proud to be part of a team that is sincere and genuine and pushing very hard to ensure that the agenda of putting the citizens first, is high up on everyone's mind. Advocate Fadzayi Mahere is the spokesperson for the Citizens Coalition for Change.